Well, if you entered the United States without inspection, meaning that you crossed the border and you were not admitted or paroled, then you may have heard this before. Oh, just get married to a US citizen and you'll get your green card. But here's the truth. Marriage does not automatically fix your immigration status. In fact, depending on your situation, it could be either simple, it could be complicated, or even risky if it's not handled correctly. So, in today's discussion, I'm going to break down when marriage can actually fix your status, when it cannot fix your status, what waivers you may need, and how options like VAWA may be able to, you know, work for you, even if the relationship is not working out. My name is Ebony Anufaro. I am an immigration attorney and I help clients across all 50 states and globally with US immigration and help you navigate it the right way. So if you're new here, make sure that you like, subscribe, and also share this video with someone who may need this information. Okay, so let's start with the basics. Entered without inspection, which is also often called EWI. And this simply means that you've crossed into the United States without going through a port of entry. You were not inspected by an immigration officer, and you were not admitted or parole. So you didn't have permission when you entered the country. And this is important because US immigration law treats people differently depending on how they entered into the country. So if you enter the US with a visa, right? Meaning you had permission to travel and to enter the country for a particular time period. Even if you overstayed on that visa, you may be eligible to adjust your status inside the United States. So adjusting status meaning that you can apply for your green card in the country without having to leave. But if you entered without inspection, the rules are going to be very different for you. Okay. In most cases, you are not going to be able to adjust your status even through marriage. Okay. So, what does this mean? This means that you may have to leave the United States and complete the process through a US consulate or embassy abroad in your home country. And that's where the real issue comes in. A lot of people are concerned about that, right? So, for example, why are people concerned about that? They're concerned about that because staying in the country without permission and entering the country without permission can lead to bars. So, I want to talk a little bit about the 3 year and the 10-year bar. So, if you've been in the US unlawfully, right, and you leave, you may face some bars. If you were here for more than 180 days, you face a 3-year bar. If you were here for more than a year, then you face a 10-year bar. All right. And that means that once you leave, you are barred from coming back in for many, many years. Okay. And this is why you should never just leave the United States without a legal strategy in place, meaning talk to a legal professional, preferably an immigration attorney has experience with these types of cases to learn about your options. Okay. So now this is where waivers come in. One of the most important tools in these types of cases are waivers. Particularly, there's the I-601 provisional waiver, and this waiver allows you to apply from within the United States, inside the US. You can request for forgiveness of your unlawful presence before you leave for your interview abroad. But here's the key thing that you want to keep in mind and understand that the key requirement for this waiver is that you must show that your US citizen or lawful permanent resident spouse or parent will suffer extreme hardship if you're not allowed to return. Okay. Now you want to really think about this. Hardship, extreme hardship within immigration is very specific. Okay. It's not just, oh, we're going to miss each other if we're separated. It's not just, oh, it'll be difficult emotionally. No, it's not that. You have to show that you will either your spouse or parent will suffer financial hardship, that there are medical issues, psychological impacts, there's some serious consequences, related to the family separation. You can show particular country conditions in your country that would cause hardship to your spouse or parent if they had to go back home to your country with you. All right. This is where a strong legal strategy really matters because you have to be able to convey this information to USCIS in order for you to be approved. Now, even with the waiver, there are still risks that you need to consider, right? If your waiver is denied, you could find yourself being stuck. If there are other issues in your case, like fraud or prior removal, criminal history, you may need additional waivers. And if you leave without the approval, you could trigger a really, long-term bar or even like a permanent bar for that matter. So this is not the type of situation that I would say you can DIY, okay? Most of these cases are not going to be a do-it-yourself situation. You're going to want to work with an immigration attorney who has experience with waivers, okay? So now let's talk about something very important that many people don't know. And I want you to understand that you still have options even if the marriage is not good, right? So if you're married to a US citizen or if you're married to a green card holder and you've experienced abuse, emotional manipulation, control, threats related to your immigration status, then you may qualify under VAWA. And VAWA stands for the Violence Against Women Act, okay? Important points about VAWA is that one, you can self-petition, so you do not need help from your spouse, right? Your spouse is not required to be a part of that petition. The abuser does not even know about it. They don't need to know. VAWA applies to men and women. And VAWA covers emotional, psychological, and financial abuse. So it's not limited to just physical abuse, okay? Now, how does VAWA help in EWI cases? Remember, I said EWI stands for entering without inspection, with you came in without permission. VAWA can be very powerful in these cases because if you're approved, VAWA can allow you to apply for a green card, okay, and potentially adjust your status in the US, where you don't have to leave, you don't have to be separated from your loved ones. VAWA can also provide work authorization, and it offers you protection from removal. So in many situations, VAWA really can eliminate the need to rely on your abusive spouse, and it can also eliminate the requirement to leave the United States. So let me give you a few real life scenarios. Okay. Scenario one, you entered without inspection and you're married to a US citizen. Your likely path is going to require you to consular process. That means you're going to go through the process in your home country because you came in without permission and you're definitely going to need a waiver. In scenario two, you entered without inspection and your spouse was abusive. Your possible path is you can file a VAWA self-petition and you may be able to adjust your status in the United States. But you're going to want to work with an attorney who has experience handling these types of cases. Scenario three, you entered without inspection and you have prior removal or fraud in your immigration history. So you're probably going to require several waivers. And this is going to really require you to have a complex legal strategy with an attorney who has experience handling complex cases. Okay. So some common mistakes I want you to think about so that you can avoid these things are filing without understanding your entry history. Entry history is very important. Remember, I said USCIS, the government treats people different depending on how they entered. Leaving the US without a waiver. Before you leave, please speak with an attorney first and have a strategy and a plan in place. Relying on misinformation from friends or social media. A lot of times I hear from people saying, well, my friend did this and it worked for her or for him. Every immigration case is different. Every circumstance and facts are different, and times are different. What worked 10 years ago or even 2 years ago may not work today in this administration or this immigration climate. And also assuming that marriage guarantees a green card. Marriage does not guarantee a green card. I've seen so many people get married thinking that it's going to be a one-stop shop to get a green card, and they find out that it was a lot more difficult than they thought, and there are a lot more complicated facts that they did not consider. Okay? So if you are in this situation, the most important thing that you can do is get proper legal strategy before you take any action. At my office, we help clients evaluate their immigration history. We determine if waivers are needed. We explore options like VAWA, T visas, U visas, and more. We build strong cases from the beginning. We pride ourselves on that. And we really listen to your story to do a deep analysis of your case so that we know that we're providing you the best legal strategy for your personal situation. So if you'd like to speak to me about your immigration matter, you can go ahead and book a consultation using the link. You can call our office or send us a WhatsApp message, and we'd be happy to work with you. We represent clients in all 50 states and around the world. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.